about now? Can you all hear me now? Thumbs up. Let me look at my green room guests. Thumbs up. Are we good on audio? Yes, we are winning. We're in business. Thank you so much. You know what I think that was, Nova? Apparently there was a little glitch from our changing location. Yesterday we were in the studio. Today we're back in our home base, and we are getting ready for yet again another building stuff with Nova. If you didn't hear me the first time, this is your virtual makerspace, your virtual laboratory, ideation laboratory, we like to say. And even this is a mastermind where you and I, we all can build together. Shout out to everybody that is letting me know that you're in the building on Twitch. We got DuckTales here, Outbound. How are you doing? How y'all doing? Let me know how you're doing. Nova, let me know how you're doing. Shout out to the people on YouTube hanging out with us again for the second day in a row. Now, without further ado, let me go ahead and get to our guest for today. Our guest for today is none other than Ruth Amos. Check it out. Check it out. Ruth Amos is an award-winning British inventor, presenter, and professional speaker. In 2006, Ruth was a young engineer from Britain, and has since founded multiple STEM outreach projects and programs. Her YouTube channel, Kids Invent Stuff, which I wish was around when I was a kid, just to be honest with you, it's run by fellow engineer Sean Brown and has over 2 million views and over 10,000 invention ideas submitted by primary age children, inspiring thousands of young people to think differently about engineering. Now, everybody's doing great. Nova's doing great. I need y'all to do me a favor as we get ready to put our hands together, our minds together. We're going to get all of our excitement together as we bring to the stage. And you're going to see my nice overhead camera in a second. Our guest for today, none other than Ruth Amos. The energy is coming, Ruth.
Hey.
Hello, hello, hello. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. You've joined us all the way from Britain, England.
Yeah, well, welcome to the UK and to the workshop.
Yes, y'all. We're on a virtual field trip, so to speak, again. We're interviewing someone across the pond. We're in your workshop. And what are we going to be doing today? Because I got this nice overhead camera that I'm going to set up here in just a second. Oh, I don't want to fall. I'm going to set this up here. And we're going to get busy because I have so many questions to ask you, but I don't want to do it before we get our hands dirty and get things going. So with that being said, what do we have today? Like, what are we doing?
We are doing some chocolate welding. So it would have been tricky for us to do some actual welding on the stream.
Yes.
But this is a way that we can have a go at making some stuff. Chocolate welding is kind of similar to normal welding.
Yeah.
So I like to think of welding like sewing with fire.
Yeah.
But it fuses two bits of metal together, and we're going to be doing that with chocolate. And it's lots of fun, whether you're 5 or 25 or 55. And so, yeah, we've got some hot water. I don't know about you. I've got loads of different chocolate bars here.
I got some chocolate. I have, like, by the way, none of these chocolate companies are sponsoring this episode, but you know, we had to go to the familiar. They should be.
Yeah,
they should be. I don't know about y'all, but there's always chocolate around this time of year as we get closer to October 31st, the Halloween that everyone knows about. That there's a lot of chocolate, so I was able to find plenty of chocolate on the shelves of different sorts. But I have one main one because you told me that we're gonna be building, right? Building stuff?
Yeah, we're gonna have a go. So I mean, it's completely up to you what you're gonna build. When we often do this in schools and we try and build the tallest tower of chocolate. But I quite like the idea of us being a little bit more creative. So maybe we want to build something. I was thinking, I don't know, I keep going back and forwards. I was debating maybe like a little kitchen table and chairs. But then I'm like, oh,
like how domestic stuff. We're gonna build something domestic, I guess.
Yeah, let's build a little model of out of chocolate.
Okay.
So yeah, so you take your chocolate and you take a side of it onto. I've got a glass bottle here filled with hot water.
Okay.
And it starts to melt. You can see that in the.
Okay, now I'm gonna change views here. I got another view here so they can see what you got. I'm putting myself lower in the corner as I kind of prep my chocolate a little bit more, but you melt the end of it with the hot water.
Yeah, so you can melt the end of it with the hot water. So I've got here, it's quite hot, so I'm gonna be careful still.
So is that a bottle?
You see, I mean,
okay.
Makes a bit of a mess. But yeah, you just take the end of the chocolate, melt it on, and it goes all gooey, and it allows you to then take another piece of chocolate and do something similar with it. And then you can
Then you-
fasten it together.
Push it together. So this is gonna, warning chat, warning. This could get pretty messy. Am I right,
I think
Ruth?
this is going to get very messy.
Very
I'm
messy.
debating putting. There is literally me in the workshop, and I'm worried I might end up just being covered in chocolate, unable to do anything. So I'm debating putting some gloves on. We'll see.
I
We'll
know.
see.
You know what I have here with me? I actually have a lot of different like baby wipes, right? So we have some little ones in the house here. So I got like a whole stack of baby wipes. So if I don't have anything later, just know that it was used for. I'm saying this to my family. Just know that it was used for different kind of chocolate. But anyway, moving forward, we need to know, Ruth, how did you get into, as I set up my thing, how did you get into this whole idea of helping kids invent stuff? Because I know that I was an inventor as a kid. That was the only STEM career path that I knew of. And I'm just wondering, was there something in your childhood that you were like, man, if only there was someone who helps kids invent stuff, and then you didn't have it and you decided to create it? Give me the origin story.
Yeah, so I grew up actually not wanting, I didn't really know much about engineering. I thought I wanted to be a lawyer. And at school, I did something called resistant materials, like design and technology.
Mm-hmm.
And my teacher set me a challenge to design something to help his dad go up and down his stairs.
Okay.
And so I ended up accidentally inventing something called the stair steady, which is like a specialist handrail. It uses friction, helps people go up and down the stairs. And I realized that there was this whole amazing world of engineering, and I realized that I should have always wanted to be an engineer. And I started to realize that there were lots of other young people, particularly girls, who never really saw themselves within engineering.
Right.
And I've kind of, made that my mission so that as many young people as possible know that there is a career in engineering for them. Mainly because every day I do this job, I think how unhappy I would have been if I'd not found it. Like I would not have done well being a lawyer.
Yeah.
And I love what I do. So so it kind of started off like that, and I was involved in lots of different projects and things. And probably about 7 years ago now, me and my friend Sean started talking about doing some sort of STEM project, because at that point, more young people were watching YouTube than normal TV, which seems to make sense now, but at the time was quite novel and new. And also there was a piece of research came out that said that young people, particularly girls, they form their opinions around what careers they can and can't do super early. It's like 6 or 7.
6 or 7, yeah.
And I don't know what it's like in the US, but in the UK, there's lots of stuff that happens at secondary.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like too late by then. And so Sean and I decided we wanted to start a project that would, that involved primary school age children. So in the UK, primary is ages 4 to 11. And so we set up Kids Invent Stuff, and the channel is essentially bringing to life kids' invention ideas. So 4 to 11-year-olds send in invention ideas, pictures or videos. And then Sean and I bring them to life. So we just brought to life our 100th invention. It's not quite on the channel yet.
Okay. Is that going to be a big like celebration? The 100th invention.
Yeah, the 100th invention. Yeah. So we've built all sorts of weird and wonderful things, from popcorn firing doorbells to 7-foot dinosaurs that mop the floor, and everything on the channel was designed by a kid.
By kids.
Kids Invent Stuff. Yeah. So it's kind of become my thing. Like any chance I get to talk to the general public or anyone about engineering, and I showcase a lot of what I do in my job online, because I had no idea that jobs like this existed and that this is even like a career path. And so I'm an oversharer for that reason, so that other people see and think, oh, I could do that.
I can do it. Yes. And you know what? Here I am for the very first time doing chocolate welding. And
exactly. And you're doing a fantastic job.
Am I? Listen, you have already won me over with your encouragement and positivity. And chat has seen me. Chat, I don't know if you all at this point have the same type of hopefulness as Ruth has, but sometimes I don't finish. Sometimes my hands don't act the right way. And back to your point about oversharing, I feel like this has been a place where we're trying to like demystify, or at least remove the intimidation around engineering, similar to what you're doing, so that people know that they too are engineered, whether or not they went to school for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Totally. And I think engineering is one of those things that, as humans, we use a lot of the skills that you need within engineering and making, and it comes in lots of different forms. And I think so often people think, well, engineering is just this particular thing. And actually there are so many different skills. You know, we often show in the channel, like baking. We baked a gravity racer. You know, we show welding, we show fabrication, but it's like, there's so many different things that are involved in making, from electronics to textile stuff. Yeah. It's so varied. And it's lots of fun, right?
Very fun, very fun. Just like this. Now, I was holding my chocolate in place for a while because I wasn't sure. I think I got a hang of it now, Ruth, but I wasn't sure, chat, exactly how long, you know, I need to put it in the water, how long you need to like hold it in place before it falls. And as I can see now, some things have gotten a little sturdy, which I'm happy about. But basically what I just involved myself in is the engineering design process, right? Like this whole process of like asking a question, giving it a shot, seeing how it works out. You know, if it doesn't work out, try again, iterating and all that kind of stuff. Talk a little bit about, I guess, that process when it comes to inventing, like that iterative trial and error. Okay, that didn't work. Let's try something else. Like, I'm sure you have a lot of that going on.
Well, I think every single thing that we've built at some point has failed. So we're very good at dealing with failure. Some things it's kind of like a small failure. Other things are much bigger. But I think as well, like there's, particularly with what we do, there's lots of learning in just like having a go. And sometimes when things fail, we learn so much more than if we just had succeeded the first time. Because quite often when we fail, we have to kind of dig a little deeper and work out why. Yep. And obviously the things we're building don't have a blueprint. So, I mean, they do, they have a picture, but they don't have like a build blueprint.
Like the details of what to do, when, where, how, all the little specs.
So a lot of the time we are, you know, we're trying to create something from scratch. We're trying to break something else to turn it into something else. So Jordan and I always say, like, we are not the best engineers, but we're just very good at like Googling and persevering. Like that's the, you know, and having a go. Yeah. So quite often the first time we've ever done something is on the channel. So, you know, the
like
first
me right now, pretty much. Very first time, you just give it a go.
And I think sometimes, you know, sometimes it can show how tricky something is, but also what it can be really good at is just kind of demystifying some stuff. Yeah. But yeah, we have to get good at failing because, you know, it's a big part of the job. Like we built a Rube Goldberg machine, which is like a big game of mousetrap. Yeah. And we built one of those and we combined 60 kids' invention ideas. And
60 into one Rube Goldberg machine?
Yeah. Wow, so we built it in this massive warehouse, and we were determined that we wanted it to run in like a single go, and it took 74 attempts to get it to work.
74? Oh my goodness.
73 times it failed.
You got it right on the 74th time.
Exactly, and so every time something goes wrong, I'm like, well. Gotta keep going, get to that 74th attempt. That's and I mean, it's like, you know, there's, whether you're building something new or you just want to have a go at something first time, like I think people feel like when something goes wrong and they fail, like they should stop. Yeah. And so often I'm like, but it's just about to get good.
I know, keep right? Going. It's just about to get good. I love it. By the way, I'm trying some stuff out right now. Like, I don't know if y'all saw chat what I just did. And I see your questions. We're going to get to your questions. But what I did was, I'm trying to figure out a way to how, Ruth, to like basically melt the top part of this so that when I stick it on top, you know what I mean? Like, it still adheres to it. And so I'm doing this crazy little like spreading of the hot water. I guess I can lick it too, right? I can lick it.
I mean, it's your chocolate. So you're not feeding it to anyone else. I think you're fine.
You're right. Though I think my children may come out here and try to have at it. But you're right. Here you go. Here's what I'm doing. Dabbing it. I don't know why I didn't think about that. Dabbing it with some of this, the baby wipes.
If people want to have a go at home, there are a number of different ways you can do this. Yes. So you could get like a squeezy bottle and you can melt the chocolate in that. You can have this is just like a big glass bottle filled with hot water, and you can melt it on the side, or you can have it in a mug, and you can just essentially it needs something hot. Obviously we often do this with children, so I wouldn't necessarily suggest like a heat source, like a blowtorch.
A blowtorch,
or a lighter.
I've made s'mores with the blowtorch. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but if you're a responsible adult, I could see a blowtorch or a lighter being very useful. But obviously, we do this in the classroom, and I'm not sure there are many teachers who would be happy with me, bringing a blowtorch.
Blowtorch, right. I don't know if Nova.
Water.
Right, like future doctor, we can't trust kids with blowtorch. So no kids using a blowtorch, just if you have supervision. Ruth,
yeah,
I got you large on the screen right now because I want to see what you're making. Everyone see that I'm in the process of building this structure, this tower, if you will. But can you tilt down your camera? Are you okay to tilt down your cameras and we can see a little bit what you got going?
So I'm just making these little kind of weird half triangles at the moment.
Okay.
To be fair, I'm using white and dark chocolate, and I'm just trying to work out which is the best. The white's got these weird like ridges on it. If you can see like these little weird ridges around it.
Yeah, I see. It looks good.
Which is actually slightly annoying to build with. Whereas this one has got like a weird pattern on it.
Yeah.
And I'm just debating whether to open the blocks. So I'm just having a little play with it just to see how the material works. My favorite thing about it is I have been mixing the white and the milk chocolate, if you see on the inseam there. So it's got a little bit of white and milk. I'm like, oh. So yeah, just having a little play with it before I decide exactly what to build.
You're still in the ideation.
Yeah, and I'm sure at some point I'm going to absolutely covered in chocolate. So I'm just trying to, ease myself into that because this is currently what the side of the bottle looks like. Is it's, it's.
I see. Yeah. I have a little a big little mug here, right? And I almost feel like at the end of this, Ruth, I want to pour it over everything so it can cohesively come together. But I'm not gonna do that prematurely. You go to the restaurants and they have the big chocolate bowl or whatever, and they pour on top of it.
Yeah. Yes.
Those are amazing.
What? I bought some little white chocolate buttons with the idea of doing something with them, but actually, I could just sit and eat this. Really, that's what I think it might end up descending into. Is Ruth just sat eating most of the build materials? Pretty
much. Listen, we won't fight it. We won't fight it if it happens. Cause
it's good.
I have a nice little. I have the Hershey's. I also have Kit Kat, right? And shout out to Kajol behind the scenes. We were doing Minecraft one time, right? And basically, we were trying to build a house like this, and I didn't know what I was doing. And the crossover there, though, is Kajol was on screen with me, and she had a big Hershey's chocolate bar, and she was more advanced. And I thought it was because she was just better at Minecraft than me, but I think because she had the chocolate, that's probably what gave her the edge. And so I have the chocolate now, and if this was our Minecraft Kajol, I would be doing much better today. Y'all, what's the root? Go ahead.
I'm going to say, I think there's a bit of patience involved in this as well, because when it melts, I'm like, oh, I have to now hold it in place for however long.
I know. That's how my first couple of members were. Yo, let Ruth know what she should make. She's getting her members together, and that's what we call. So I'm a structural engineer by trade, Ruth. Structural engineering is my thing. So I was that kid. First of all, I promise you I would have been the kid to write you and send you an invention to build if your channel was around when I was a kid. But I eventually found my way into engineering, kind of like you did, right? And I designed buildings and bridges and tunnels and things like that, right? So it's really cool as I think about how all this chocolate is representing, our vertical members, which is our columns, right? And I hope y'all can see that, by the way. I'm gonna try to see if I can get another angle here so everybody can see. Y'all got the top view and the side view, but here we have our columns on the side. Oh man, there's no way to really change it so everybody see. But then we have our beams, which are horizontal members. And then you can switch to other stuff like that too. So those are different ways that this chocolate is really mimicking a lot of what I have as a structural engineer. I want to pick it up. Kajo. I'm a little nervous right now. I'm gonna make sure that it's nice and firm before I pick it up, though. I'll make sure it's nice and firm.
I think yours would definitely win for the most weight that it can take. So I'm not sure at the moment. Yeah, I'm not sure at the moment mine would do that.
Well, I mean, we'll see. I see some people dropping. So is chocolate performance enhancing? That's what I think it is, Opal guy. Opal definitely asked that question. Earlier, people were talking about the chocolate being different in over there versus over here. Have you been to the US? Have you tried our chocolate?
I have been. Yep, I have, and ours is better. Unfortunately, unfortunately for you, I think ours is better.
Is it? It's better. It's better, Ruth.
I think so. Yeah.
Well,
I did wonder about different recipes. Also, Kit Kat, that's biscuit in as well. So structurally, that's better, right?
It is. Ooh, I love that. I love what you just pointed out, Ruth. So, and I just ate a Kit Kat. I just ate the Kit Kat I was about to use for my illustration.
This is just descended into a stream where we're just gonna sit and eat chocolate. Really, that's what it is.
Yeah, at the end of the day, that's all we're about. Just eating chocolate. This is an excuse to buy a bunch of chocolate and eat it. But you know what you just
talk about engineering.
Say what?
And just talk about engineering while eating chocolate.
That's it. You you brought up like the wafers inside of a Kit Kat, and I'm gonna munch this so people can see. But like the layers in here,
strength.
It gets a little out of focus.
Strength.
That's like how we do with like concrete and steel. So we strengthen concrete by embedding steel. And so we call that reinforced concrete. And so a Kit Kat can be thought of as reinforced chocolate. That's basically what it is.
I think that there should be a teacher out there that does their whole like science material lessons just using chocolate.
You know? Just make sure you reference this stream with Ruth and Nee whenever you do it, teachers. Make sure you do that. So Ruth,
I'm making a weird little three-legged stool, but I'm not sure it's holding. We'll see. Well, I'll leave it to go.
Bring down. Let me see. Bring the camera down. Let me see.
It's a little bit wobbly. Oh, can you see behind my big wall of chocolate? There we go. Chocolate.
Yep.
Can you see that now?
I see.
My little weird seat thing.
Yeah.
Let's leave it to go off. We'll see if it goes off. We'll see. As you wash your chocolate.
As I scrub down my chocolate, make sure that it's nicely coated. Which is another thing we do, by the way, Ruth, in structural engineering. We'll coat it because we know that it may be an environment that has like a lot of humidity or a lot of like, things that can cause it to weather and break down.
Oh, I've got chocolate on me.
Do you?
How did that happen?
Who would have thought on the chocolate stream we would have chocolate on this?
Your baby wipes is, in fact, they're not baby wipes, but what I have just found is big wipes, industrial cleaning.
Oh, heavy duty wipes.
I mean, I'm pretty sure, don't do this at home, because I'm pretty sure they're full of chemicals to break down grime, but they will also wash the chocolate off my clothing, so that's fine.
Yes, gotta have extra reinforcements.
There we go.
When I was preparing, so I'm gonna do some floor tiling here. I'm gonna do some floor tiling with some nice little square chocolates here.
Nice. Oh, delightful.
I figured I would make a nice little finish on my floors here. I'm gonna pick it up in a little bit. I'm gonna pick it up as soon as I feel strong enough. I feel that it is strong enough. I'm gonna do some floor tiling here. But Ruth, you as I mentioned in the intro, you are an author. So your YouTube video, not your YouTube video, but your YouTube channel, you and Shaw's YouTube channel, is also the namesake of this awesome, well, I wouldn't say the namesake, but correlates with this awesome book that I found. When I saw this, I was like, man, this is a type of book that I I literally would use when I was a kid. Like so much of what you've done, it's called Kids Invent Stuff, right? And I gotta show y'all really quick this book, really quick. But I looked at it, Ruth, and I saw how there was like a number of things that like you highlighted when it came to other people's inventions and all the things that people did in the past, some of the popular inventions right there. And you got a copy right there behind you. But I was wondering if you could share with us, if you could share with us one of the most inspiring stories, right, that you came across in making a book like this, or maybe not the most, but just an inspiring story when it comes to other inventions that exist in the world.
Yeah, I think I've kind of become the person who loves to talk about inventions and workshops. So like when I was pitched this book, I was like, oh, it's perfect, it's everything. So there's 10 inventions in the book that are kind of key things. So they're not kids invent stuff inventions. They're things like the light bulb, bicycle, computer. And it was really fun because not only was it just looking at the different ways that those inventions came to life, in the sense that not one thing is ever invented by one person. Lots of people contribute to that. But also like things we take for, just for granted in everyday life, like playing music. There was a point where playing music at home was really tricky. And you just think like there are so many key things that, waking up, switching on the light, listening to some music,
take it for granted,
all these things, and so that was really interesting, kind of going back and realizing like when some of those things changed and stuff. But I think one of the things that really amazed me was, and I hadn't quite realized it until I started to write the book, was how some of these inventions like really challenge society as well. So I think I don't think I can say it's my favorite because I loved so many things within this book, and Stacey Thomas, who illustrated it, did an absolutely amazing job.
Shout out to Stacey Thomas.
But there is like a whole section on how the bite, like pioneer, it was like such an important invention when it comes to
what is that? The bike? You said the bike?
Rights. Yeah, the bicycle. So there's a whole thing about how it like so previously, before the bike, a lot of women had relied on men for transportation. And actually there's so much around like the rights that we now have, and like some of the key things that happened that just, that was really fun. Like looking at how an invention has
transformed history,
directly affected us. And transformed history. So that was really fun. But then also just like going through and seeing the different stages. And one of my favorite things is like Stacey's really, has really taken the time to, I love seeing how things work. Right. And so in there, she's like taken apart some diagrams and things like that, and the detail that she's put on there, like I love it. So it's kind of one of the things, and as someone that's had to read this book a lot of times, I still find new things in her drawings, and that's what I love about it. Is like every time I look at it, I'm like, oh, I didn't see that before, or oh, that's cool. And that's kind of So for me as well, even as the person that wrote it, I'm like, every time I look at it, I'm like, oh, wow, like this is so cool.
There's more and more. There's always more to learn from it. So writing a book like that really fed into your own natural like enthusiasm for the topic itself as you learn more.
And I think as well, like the book's only so big, so there's so much research that you do that doesn't make the book, and that's really interesting. I'm trying to work out like what do I want to do with some of that, because I feel like they're stories that should also be told, maybe in a slightly different format. Right. Because you've only got so many pages to write about each invention. But I think as well, like it's I always think if someone reads that book and they realize that, because growing up, I used to think like inventions, engineering, it was all done by people that were like special. Right. Like super smart, the important elite people. Yeah, the important people who did that. Right. And actually I realized that we can all get involved with that. And I think that's something that I wanted to make clear in that book, is that actually the inventors in this book are just like you and me. You know, there's inventors in there from all over the world, from different backgrounds. And yeah, hopefully by choosing things that you see in your everyday life, you're then like, oh yeah, you know, when you switch on your light, you think of all those people that contributed to make that happen.
Yes, yes. I hope you all are taking note of that. Even for the people who didn't think that they were a part of the elite, just grab some chocolate. Maybe that'll be the start of your invention, right? Grab some chocolate, bite off some like Ruth is doing right now, and then get to work. Why not?
I am eating the building materials. It's delightful.
It is.
Although I have just lost a little chocolate leg. Let me.
You lost the chocolate leg. Can you go ahead and scroll down again? Because I was told that people didn't see everything you had down at the bottom. Go ahead and like tilt it down again.
Well, I've started to make a little table.
Okay.
It's more of a coffee. It's like a little coffee table.
Yes.
And then my chair is in pieces here because the leg fell off. So I turned it upside down again. I've got my triangles and things here. And I've also got this pile of very small white chocolate buttons, which actually I'm mainly just eating.
Wait, what is that? That was a white chocolate button? I've never seen that before.
Yeah. Like a little
Milky Bar button. Got it.
Like a little white chocolate button.
Awesome.
Good.
Awesome. Hey,
not sponsored by Milky Bar, but
I know. Should be, as we said earlier. Hey, so everybody in the chat, I want y'all to know something that you absolutely can participate in. As we were talking about, not only can you participate in inventing, but we have a survey link we've been dropping over on Twitch as well as on YouTube by our friend Nightbot, as well as Nova. Nova, you can drop it again. This is a part, Ruth, I don't know if you know, but this is a part of a research project. This research project has been supported by the National Science Foundation, and the goal has been to bring more like engineering education, right, into informal spaces, right? It's all about informal like science and STEM learning. That's what we're all about. And so everybody that's been hanging out with us on Twitch or occasionally on YouTube, we need you all to take a moment to let us know about your experience. Whether it been, you know, something like this that we're doing with Ruth hands-on, whether it's been a virtual field trip that you've enjoyed, gaming, we've done some gaming, Ruth. We've been able to, again, I mentioned Minecraft earlier, but we've been able to play a lot of other engineering games as well. Just really all different ways to get these principles in our minds and to lessen the intimidation of, like you said, feeling like this is for the elite people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So with that being said, you all take a moment to fill out that survey. Let us know what you think when you get a chance so that Nova and the National Science Foundation can continue to do work like this.
It's really tricky, isn't it, when you do things like this? Because obviously it's what we do at Kids Invent Stuff, when you're trying to explain to people that haven't been on the stream. Like, hopefully people that have been on the stream today and your previous stuff, like they can see and they've had a great experience.
Yeah.
And then they might leave the stream and go do their everyday work.
Right.
And it's really important, isn't it, when you're doing this sort of work to be able to go back and say, like, this had an impact.
Yes.
So I always, like, whether it's this stream or something else, if you're out there and you see a project and it has, like, you realize, oh, this had an impact on the way that I view something or whatever.
Right.
Tell them, please. As someone that does this work, like, it's so valuable. Like we've had people whose inventions we built when they were like 8 or 9.
Yeah.
Who have come back and they're studying engineering in secondary school, and they've like, oh yeah, just to email, just to let you know, like, what you did really affected my career choices and things like that. And that's like, yeah, it might seem like this, you know, a silly little email to send, but actually it means so much to people doing that work.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was just about to ask you that, like, what type of feedback have you gotten over the years from the young people that you've worked with? Any other stories that like reminded you, like, hey, this is what this is all about? Yeah,
I mean, obviously getting emails from people who are going off to study engineering or who have other ideas and they're, you know, at a stage where they're making career choices is really exciting to know that we were part of that.
Yeah.
We've had people who have submitted invention ideas that we've built And then years later, they've started building things, and they've emailed to ask questions about parts and things because they want to build their own, like a version of their own invention as well. So that's really cool to be like, oh yeah, not only did we build it on the channel, but that young person is like at school building a version of their invention idea as well.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, all these things take a long time as well. So we are at the point now where some of the stuff we were doing in the early days, like those young people are at a point where they're making like quite big career choices in the sense of like maybe what they're going to study once they leave secondary school and things like that. But I think that's the thing with this sort of work, and one of the reasons that sometimes people maybe either don't quite understand it or kind of find it hard is because we have to start super early.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of stuff that happens is like secondary school or industry, and that's kind of too late. But also, you know, we have amazing companies that support the work that we do, and they're the companies that are really looking to the future, because they realize like we have to be doing stuff at primary to be able to have those people coming out of university or to be, you know,
down the line, like work. It's a workforce development thing. It's a workforce. The future of our workforce depends on a lot of this work, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And I don't know what the US is like, but in the UK, we have a big shortage of engineers. I think, or something like there's a massive shortage of engineers and scientists in the UK, and in fact, I think there's less than 14% of those within industry are women.
Right.
And all the research shows that the more diversity you have when it comes to problem solving and designing and all the challenges we face within engineering, like diversity is key to do good problem solving and things like that. So it's really important that we're encouraging people to think about like how they might fit within this like engineering science making thing.
For sure. It's like there's a shortage. Numerically, it doesn't make sense to have the same disproportion that we have. Like, it just mathematically doesn't make sense. So one of the ways that we solve the shortage and the talent that we need is to get more inclusion of people who are currently underrepresented. No, I think that makes a lot of sense.
Also, as well, I mean, there is a massive business case for it. So all of the research shows that the more diverse the group is when it comes to problem solving, the better the solution. So like if it's something that like is a product that's being sold or whatever, it genuinely affects the bottom line of a business as well.
Yes.
So a business is more profitable the more diverse it is. So, you know, it's not just like, oh, wouldn't it be lovely if? It's like, it'd be lovely if, and makes really good business sense.
Absolutely. People know money talks, right? Money talks to a lot of people, for sure. So tell me this really quick, all right? And by the way, you all feel free to ask a question. I may have missed some earlier. If you have a question that I missed earlier, feel free to get it, or to share that again in the chat, because I'm looking for it, right? But let me ask you this question. This is a pretty silly question. Ruth, if you could build anything out of chocolate and you didn't have to worry about it melting, what would that be? What would that be? If you could build anything out of chocolate and you didn't have to worry about it melting, what would it be?
Well, I am actually working on a Kids Invent Stuff project that involves chocolate. And my issue is not necessarily melting.
Okay.
But it's getting the right mold and shape for it.
Okay.
And something called tempering, which
tempering?
Tempering. So like when you melt a big body of chocolate, you have to cool it in a certain way, I think, or else it like goes a bit brittle. So essentially, the molecules in chocolate, they in like our chocolate bars where it's like this and it's shiny and it's lovely. Yeah. They sit in a certain way, and I believe the issue that I'm currently having is because it isn't tempering well. So it's not like the molecules are kind of not sitting correctly. Yeah. And so it's not as strong. But yeah, I mean, like on the channel, we've made like a chocolate toothbrush before.
You have?
Which I'm not sure.
A chocolate toothbrush? I know some kids that would love that.
So yeah, so we took like a it's like, a toothbrush you can brush your teeth with and then eat after.
And it tastes like chocolate. Like while you're brushing your teeth,
It's made of chocolate. Like, yeah, it's like, yeah, I'm not sure dentists would approve, but
yeah. It's it seems a little counterproductive there, but
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but yeah, we love a bit of chocolate. But yeah, so currently this chocolate project is not so much about it's about getting it to temper right so it holds, because you want that strength.
Got you. Yep, absolutely. So there is a process that I'm involved myself in, and I'm gonna try to see if I can bring my camera down. It's really tough because like once I hook up my overhead camera, it's like to take it off, it's gonna take a lot of time to latch it. But I'm getting pretty. I must say this might be my best hands-on project yet. Ruth, I'm gonna be honest with you, because let's see if I can bring this down a little bit. I have gotten creative with how like I'm strengthening it. So around the sides, I had the idea earlier of like pouring. I'm not gonna do that. That sounds a bit destructive. But
okay,
if I take a little bit of the like hot water and I like again coat the sides of it, I can kind of like merge two members together. You know what I mean?
Yeah, nice.
So they become
So the
one.
interesting thing, so if you think about this in the sense of like metal, when you weld it, you are fusing those two bits of metal together, and essentially two bits of metal become one. And that is kind of very similar of what we were doing with this, is that once you're adding that heat to it and it's melting and then it's reforming. Yeah. If you do that in the right way, it pretty much becomes one solid bit of chocolate, she says, as the bottom of her seat falls to pieces.
Like that is the whole point of welding, right? To your point. Like, yeah. There was a time, so have you ever heard of friction stir welding? Friction stir welding? So friction, so friction stir welding, I worked at NASA for a little while. When I was like working in friction stir welding, it was a method of welding that wasn't purely about like melting the material, but more so they had like a little pin they would put into the sides. They would put two materials together like this, and then there would be like a little pin, like a very strong pin, much stronger than the metal. And basically through a process of spinning it very fast, they would basically mix the two metals together there at the seam. And so what would happen is they would come together, and just as the name implies, friction stir, it would be like you will see a long like circular pattern along the seam, and it's now welded together as one, but not in the traditional sense for the melting, but again, it's been stirred so much with this like high strength pin.
I really liked as well just now where you were like, so when I worked at NASA.
Well, it was. I think that the building committee, shout out to the building committee, they probably heard me name drop this so many times, and they're probably like, yo, we get it, Nee, we get it. You worked at NASA, okay.
We're gonna start calling you Mark Rober if you mentioned it later, Apparently he worked at NASA as well.
Shout out to Mark Rober. I'm sure he would make something pretty phenomenal of chocolate. But Ruth, I love that you talked a little bit again about like how it parallels. Can you talk about maybe some other like materials that are cool, like material science type things that you've been able to do through your inventions?
Yeah, I suppose the interesting thing is that because we're trying to build loads of different things, we've had the opportunity to have a go at like lots of, I don't know, if I was just making the same thing and selling that, then maybe I wouldn't have had to go at loads of different techniques. So for example, we built a giant 7-foot dinosaur that mops the floor, and that was really interesting.
Dinosaur that mopped the floor?
Yeah, so sometimes we build big structures and obviously they need to look like the child's drawing. So we've built like furry electric dog cars, so big, like a big car shaped like a dog that's furry. And when we did that, we built like a metal structure, and then we covered it with like thin plastic, and then we put like fur on the outside. And then when we made like a carrot card, again, we built like a metal and wooden structure, and then we covered it with fiberglass and things like that. Whereas the really interesting thing about the dinosaur is that's a very specific shape, and we were trying to work out like how, like if you're making a tiny one, you might 3D print it, for example. So we were like, how can we do this in a way where it looks like a dinosaur? But obviously Sean and I are engineers, we're not artists, we're not going to somehow like carve it or something.
And it looks amazing, so like an actual real life dinosaur,
Yeah, like we want it to look good, but also we're not sure we have the artistic talent.
I got
you.
So
we found like a 3D model of a dinosaur.
Okay.
We ran it through some software that sliced it up.
Sliced up the dinosaur? Sounds like
sliced up the model.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I lost you for a second. But go ahead. Sliced up the model through the okay.
Sliced up the model, and then we sent it to like a CNC router place, and they cut it out of foam. And all the parts were numbered, and it was like the world's most complicated puzzle. But we had all these slices of dinosaur that then we assembled with little cocktail sticks, like the little pointy wooden stick.
Yeah, like the
So we had a big like a tiny little ones of those. So we had like a big foam, very much like 7 foot, it's massive. So it was big dinosaur made out of foam. And then we covered that in like resin, and we fiberglassed it and stuff so that it would keep its shape. But like that was a real process, because although we had resin things before, the way of getting to that end shape with that dinosaur, it was like, when it worked, we were like, wow, because we really weren't sure if it was, we'd be able to do that. And I think that's always really interesting, is like when you have an idea and you think it might work, and you take it step by step, and at the end of it, you're like, wow, that did actually...
It turned out okay.
That was possible.
That's like the most amazing thing to me about inventing, like, period. Like, your idea becoming reality. Like, I don't feel like there's any greater feeling in many ways. Like, because at one point it was just in your head,
Yeah.
But now,
so when I did this,
go ahead. Other people can
interact with it. It's like a real thing. Yeah. So like when I still find it really weird. So the mobility product I designed at school is like sold and installed and things, and like that started off like it was inspired by a kid's toy. So it's inspired by, it's a kid's toy. It has like a metal stick, a little woodpecker or a cuckoo on it, and it like you take the bird to the top, and it like flick it. It's like a little desk toy, and that inspired it. And I used to have one of those on my desk for ages. And the first prototype was like a scaffolding pole and a block of wood. Okay. And then like the first time that I made like a demo of it in the classroom at school, like it used small bits of PTFE screws and tires. And then like the first time I saw like a drawing turn into like, something that could be manufactured, and it came off the end of the factory. Yeah. And then like the first time I saw it in someone's house, and it is crazy, like absolutely insane. And that thing of like something that you drew on a sheet of paper becomes a real life tangible thing, and you see people using it. And I suppose that's kind of what inspired the channel, is that whole thing of like, I was so lucky to find someone that saw my crazy idea and was like, yeah, we should make that for you. Like, this has got legs. Yeah. And I feel like that's what we do at Kids Invent Stuff, because there is literally, like even now, like I don't think it's like anything I will ever get blasé about is seeing a stair steady in someone's house and it being used. Like, it's the weirdest thing. Even now, like, it's just bizarre.
And you've been doing this for how many years?
12
years.
13 years of having a stair steady, and like seeing that in people's houses, like it's, knowing that people use that on a daily basis, like it genuinely blows my mind.
It doesn't get old.
No.
So, Ruth, why do you do this? I would love to obviously get a peek of what you have on the table so everybody can see. But also, is there anything in your workshop after you show us what you built that you could also point to that maybe connect to some other projects that come to mind? And then I'll do a reveal. I'm gonna let you do that while I take my camera down and show a different angle of what I built.
Okay, so I had play around. I was looking at some structure. I did some triangles, but actually, I've got a little seat. Can you see that there? A little seat.
Yeah.
Here we go. A little table, a little coffee table.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got a bit crazy with some triangles and decorated them with some buttons. But yeah, that's what I've done there. And then next to me, I've got a giant toothbrush. So one of the things that we built on the YouTube channel is this toothbrush, and it was invented by George. And the idea is that you use it in the garden, and it has different attachments on the head. It's built around a grinder. So the head in the top is a grinder, and the body and everything is fabricated from steel. So all of this bottom bit started its life as sheet steel, and it's got different heads on the top. So you can clean the patio, you can cut down trees, you can like cut the lawn.
Yeah.
And we found out recently that it is the world's largest electric toothbrush, and we got Guinness World Record for it. So
you got a record for it from Guinness.
Yeah.
Nice.
So we're in this year's Guinness World Record book, which is really exciting.
Awesome. So check this out. I appreciate you all sharing that. And Nova, if there's a way to I don't know if Guinness records exist online, but if there's a link to drop on that, please do. I'm gonna go ahead and do a big reveal, Ruth, as you can see.
Oh my word!
Look at my house. Look at my chocolate house, everyone. All right, let me see. Let me make sure.
It.
You like it?
The detail.
The detail. Look, and there it is. There with the the interest there. The interest. Yeah. And here it is. I know this is all about chocolate. By the way, I know this is all about chocolate, chat. But I had to get the little Sour Patch Kids out here because Sour Patch Kids enjoy inventing stuff too, right?
Yeah, exactly. And if you've got that much sugar in front of you, we might as well add a little bit more to it, right?
Might as well add a little bit more to it. So y'all see we getting the people to enjoy my nice little house.
I think as well with like Halloween coming up and people having lots of sweets and candy in their house, I feel as a parent as well, how great to entertain your child for a little bit longer before they eat it all and go feral for a few hours. So you might as well get them to be do some engineering before that, right?
Do something productive, right? Instead of just sugar overload.
Yeah. So, if you've got any, it works with chocolate and Kit Kats now, as we've seen.
We got all the Sour Patch Kids. We got some on the roof too. They're just gonna be hanging out.
They're having a whole party, aren't they?
A whole little party. You know what I mean? With I might say the best chocolate in the world, American chocolate.
Well.
Not quite. Everyone
can't beat some Cadbury's. Can't beat some UK chocolate.
I know, I hear you. Hey y'all, I hope you all have enjoyed our chocolate welding session and also learning a lot from Ruth. And Ruth, I'm gonna ask you for some parting words of wisdom here in just a little bit. But first, let me tell everybody what is coming up on tomorrow. Tomorrow, y'all, we're gonna have Trapology one more time with us this week. They've already played the virtual escape room. They're gonna be with us a lot more, so it's not one more time, period. But tomorrow we're gonna do another virtual field trip and see some of the progress that they've been making, which is always great to check in with them. So make sure you come tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern. I hope we've enjoyed this today. As Ruth said, there's a lot of inspiration that we gained from this and a lot of fun too. So coming back here to one more inside view of our chocolate house here. You see that guy back there in the back? He's just kind of laid out. He's chocolate overload right there, the red one in the back.
Yeah. What a party. Honestly,
what a party.
Having a great time.
Yes. But Ruth, with that being said, can you go ahead and give us some parting words of wisdom, if you will, as you just kind of think back on, again, the experiences you've had in doing Kids Invent stuff, obviously as an author, the Inventions Workshop, they've done a lot of research about different inventors. And even this experience that you've had for this hour with us here on Building Stuff for Nova, what can you leave us as we continue to, aspire towards bringing our ideas to life?
I think sometimes when we have ideas in our head, it can get quite overwhelming and you get that fear to even start. And I sometimes have a quote in the back of the workshop that's like, you know, the first step to success is starting.
Yes.
like just have that little, you know, take it one step at a time. I think when we first started Kids Invent stuff, if you told us we would have brought to life 100 kids invention ideas, I think we would have found that very overwhelming, because obviously just one single invention takes so much build time and so much, you know, but also the things you learn along the way. So yeah, if you want to build stuff or have a go, just, you know, take that first step. Like, we don't have to have the whole plan, just take it one step at a time, and try and enjoy that journey.
Indeed. Well, Ruth, I thank you so much, because you've strengthened my confidence. Again, your encouragement has been positive. I've never done this before. And, you know, I feel like my first invention turned out pretty well, of chocolate. So
I think it's good. Yeah,
yes,
nice.
Yes. So whatever it is, y'all, as you heard, go ahead and take the first step, most important step. I want to thank y'all so much for hanging out with us today on Building Stuff with Nova. I hope you all take care. And no matter what, keep building. Talk to y'all later. Peace.